Hello everyone and welcome to the latest face-to-face interview with TTG. I'm Abra Dunsby, Acting Features Editor for TTG, and today I'm very pleased to be joined by John Warr, Global Sales Director at Wendy Wu Tours. Hi John.
Hello everybody. Hello Abra.
Hi. Can I just take you back a few months, if I may? So as an Asia specialist, you were probably one of the first tour operators to really notice the impact of COVID-19 on travel. When would you say you started to notice that dip in business and people sort of cancelling their holidays?
Yes, so I think as soon as the news started reporting the COVID-19 kind of challenges in China, we started to keep a very close eye on that particular incident. So it wasn't probably until kind of middle to end of Feb that we then started to get a number of calls from customers, not just due to depart imminently, but also who were due to pay their balance sort of, departing in the next 8 to 10 weeks. So it was probably around that time that the number of calls started escalating, really.
Okay. And when did you realise how sort of serious the implications of the virus were for the travel industry in general?
Yes, I think Wendy Wu, the business, Wendy herself has sort of survived and lived through other viruses, like the bird flu, SARS, and so on and so forth. So, and we kind of had the experience of knowing how potentially the damage that could do to the business to an extent. So we absolutely took it very seriously, but I don't think anyone really until the beginning of March had any indication, and even now it was how serious it would be. And I think originally this kind of kicked off as a destination issue with China, and because we had a broader range of countries, we kind of said, well, okay, it's China, but actually 50% of our program is outside China now. So we could think of strategies to grow other destinations other than China, and we have done that anyway. But then it kind of became a wider destination issue, and then it became a market issue. So yes, so that's kind of where we are now. To an extent, but we took it seriously right from the very start, and the impact that would have on the business, sure.
Okay. And so what were the next steps then that you took when the crisis really hit? How many people ended up going on furlough at Wendy Wu, for example?
Yes, so I would probably say as soon as the government introduced the furlough scheme, most organizations, I think, took that decisions to capitalize on that scheme. There are a number of people in our business that aren't furloughed, but where there were, so we don't need a large rest team at this moment in time. So a number of the rest guys were furloughed. We don't necessarily need a large trade support team at the moment. So those guys were furloughed. The business development managers were furloughed, the majority, and the same really with some of the product guys and some of the marketing and some of the finance guys. So we have been running the business on a very sort of tight group of people, coping with the existing challenges that COVID has brought us. So a lot of the operations guys were still working because they're the ones that have had to handle the calls from agents and from customers as well. And then myself and some of the senior leadership team were still very involved and are still very involved, not just with the here and now, but also working on the future. So, putting the brochure together for when that comes out in August and September, and also looking ahead and planning at that time sort of for the rest of this year, but also for 2021. And I think it's becoming clearer now, Abra, that, a lot of businesses not have necessarily written off 2020, but the focus now is primarily on coming in really strong for 2021 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And despite those exceptionally hard times and the challenges faced by the whole industry, Wendy Wu Tours has managed to achieve new revenue sales of £600,000 from the 1st of April to the 15th of June, which is a really strong result. So can you talk a bit about what your strategy has been there and how you've achieved those figures during this tricky time?
Yeah, I mean, June has continued strong. So by the end of this week, we'll probably hit £1 million of revenue. So I'm really, really proud of that achievement.
Oh, wow.
Because obviously agents were closed, and the business that has come in has primarily come from home workers. So what we have seen is the majority of the business come from direct, where we would normally have a 50-50 kind of split. The majority of business have come from direct, but we have had, I would probably say, about 30% of our business come from trade, which is very encouraging despite. And what we are seeing now is, as agents sort of open up, we're seeing more and more inquiries come through from agents. Yes, it's taken longer for those inquiries to convert, but one thing we have done is, where we have had initiatives and offers like the business class upgrade, for example, like the no supplement on solos, etc. We've made sure that we kept on communicating those offers out to both direct and to our agent partners. Now, some agent partners have picked those up and shared those with the members, and some haven't as well. And where we've seen agents that have engaged in the webinars that we've done, and for about 2 or 3 months, we're probably doing about 3 webinars a day.
Wow.
Webinars with agents, sort of, anyone could join in kind of thing. We were doing webinars with our direct consumer database, and we were doing webinars with agents' customers as well. So we'd go to an agent, and if they had a database, for example, we would set up a bespoke webinar just for their customers. And all they had to do really is we would set up the link, we would host it on their behalf. All they had to do really is just share that link with their customers. And those that have been proactive, to be fair, where they have been able to be proactive, have had success. And we haven't converted everything, but we've had inquiries that are still there. And we've tried to do a number of things. We've done live webinars from India, from our partners in India. We've done webinars from Vietnam, Wendy Wu guys in Vietnam. So we've done lots of Japan. With lots of sort of live webinars, destination led as well, and it's been good. And we've had, I think, a group of home workers. We did a webinar with them, and I think the record we've had was about 480 agents joining, and we have had bookings, from that particular group. So,
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's encouraging. And look, Abra, I appreciate that the focus for a lot of agents has had to be the here and now, dealing with the refunds and inquiries, and we've been as helpful as we have been, as we could have been, with making sure agents get their refunds. Sometimes we've had instances where we haven't had the money from airlines, and there's still a couple still floating around. But overall, the feedback to us has been very positive from agents about the refunds that have gone out. So hopefully that's put us in good stead.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
With our agent partners. Yeah.
Brilliant. And glad to hear that the trade business is slowly picking up. And actually, on that note, you've welcomed back some of your BDMs, haven't you, recently, who are out now visiting some of the agencies that are open again. What's the feedback been like from the trade to their return? Has it been largely positive, I'd imagine?
Yeah, I think it's important to talk a little about the kind of the context behind it and the reason why I took the decision to bring. At the moment, we've got 1 BDM out, and we're just testing the water, to be honest with you, Abra. And I think, I think this is a good news story. I think it sends a strong message, I think, to the trade that, look, of course, things aren't back to normality as yet, but the sooner we start acting and behaving in that way, I think it creates a kind of almost a sense, an energy, a buzz. And I'm not just talking about the individual, just for the individual BDM, by the way, but and the response, to answer your question, has been very, very positive. You've seen some Facebook posts from the individual, And also, we've just had our kind of BDM weekly coffee update, and all the BDMs were saying that they've been contacted by other agents to say how positive a move that is. So I think it creates a bit of more positive. And what I would like to see, wherever possible, is for more operators to bring more BDMs, because actually agents need that now. And I think what it does as well, it turns the focus a little bit from just the firefighting element to being more proactive. And that's what we want the industry to be, more proactive. Do more, be positive, think about the future, be proactive, because business isn't going to come to you. Our destinations, of course, we've got Eurasia as well now. We've got Israel as a destination, but the majority of our destinations are sort of in Asia, as most people know. So that business isn't necessarily going to come to you. Although I believe there is pent-up business out there, people waiting for those agents to open up, because we know that some customers will only book through their agent, and that's absolutely wonderful. We absolutely encourage that. So, but you have to be open, you have to be ready, you have to let your customers know that you're ready to take that business, and don't just wait for them to come to you. Reach out, and we're here to support you in any shape or form.
That's a great positive message to send out to the trade, I think. And on the BDM front, do you have any plans to welcome any more back anytime soon? Do you know?
Yeah, definitely. We will launch our brochures in August. We'll start launching our brochures in August, and then into September. September is not only one of our biggest departure months, but it's also one of our biggest booking months as well. So, whereas historically we have done a number of launch events with agents where we have 70 to 100 agents throughout, 10 different events all around the country, big events, we might have to scale that down this year, and subject to where we will be in September, do something differently, but we'll definitely have a launch. We're planning and working on that right now. So yes, the plan is very much to bring that group of people back, whether it's full-time or whether it's, once, 2, 3 times a week. I think we'll just have to take a step by step and look at where the market is. But I absolutely want to cover the whole country, be it in Ireland, in Scotland, in the Northwest, in the Midlands, in the Northeast, in the South. Absolutely. Because, one BDM can't do it on their own. But having said that, we have a very active agent social media page. And we have one that covers a sort of general one that has over 7,000 agents in it. We've got a home workers sort of social media page. So I think in answer to a previous question about, we've been able to stay front of mind because we've tried to reach our agents in many, many ways. There isn't one solution. We've had to replace the face-to-face. Before lockdown, we were doing agent events anyway, and consumer events anyway. But we kind of replaced those with webinars. And again, we're just staying in touch to keep our profile up, really.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been very dynamic in your kind of rethinking of the business in these months. So, for regarding bookings, I know we mentioned this slightly just previously, but so during the peak of the crisis, obviously bookings will have suffered, particularly Asia bookings, I imagine. Were most customers cancelling, or were they rebooking? What was the sort of situation there? And what's the case? Is that still the case now, or has that changed?
Yeah, our operations guys, I think, have done an incredible job dealing with customers. Lots of questions, as you can imagine. About 60% have rebooked for next year, and as we approach, so we've cancelled our tours now right up to August. So all those customers either had their money refunded, but 60% actually are opting to go out, because the destinations that we go to in general are sort of bucket list, once in a lifetime type experiences. And so people are wanting to go to these destinations. I think where the job market has impacted a number of our customers, then clearly, people want to get hold of their money. That's fully understandable. So there will be an element of that, but it doesn't mean that those customers don't come back to us and book at a later stage anyway. So although 60% have moved on to 2021, we're still in touch with those And again, a message I would say to agents is where, irrespective of if it's a Wendy Wu booking, where the customer has asked for the money back, there is an action here that says, by the way, contact that customer and see where they are in their kind of booking cycle, if you like. They've had their money back now. Are they a little bit settled? As the news comes out that you're able to travel to more destinations, are you thinking of a holiday for next year? So again, it's about being proactive, to be honest with you. So yeah, about 60% have rebooked, which is encouraging. Yeah. And the million revenue I talked about, that's new business, by the way. That's completely new business. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. And in terms of the destinations that are being, in terms of inquiries and destinations that people are interested in for 2021, what are the most popular destinations that you're noticing?
We're still taking bookings to China. People is the first thing they ask me, kind of thing. Absolutely. China is I've been to China so many times, and it's an amazing country. There's so much to see. Mm-hmm. It's a country with a population of 1.4 billion. You've got the Great Wall, the Terracotta Warriors. It's just, 9 Villages Valley, Jiuzhaigou, Guilin, Shanghai. Absolutely stunning country, really. So we're still taking bookings to China, predominantly for the sort of the latter end of next year. So September, October is a very popular time to go, but also April and May. But we've certainly seen Japan as one of our most popular destinations. I think that's been mentioned before as well. And I think the reason for that, Abra, is if you think about all those people that were due to travel to Japan this year for the cherry blossom, had to cancel their tours. Now, that's not just the UK market. That's the Asian market that traveled to Japan. That's the American market that traveled to Japan. So I think for that reason, people are getting in early. And you absolutely have to be proactive with this. You can't wait until January, February to try and go to see the cherry blossom next year in March. If you have a customer who's canceled the Japan tour, for example, then I would certainly be reaching out for them and asking whether they're ready to rebook now for March next year, because there is a huge demand for Japan. So Japan's very popular as a destination. Vietnam has had 0 COVID deaths. So again, Vietnam is very popular for that reason, as is Thailand. They've controlled the COVID-19 very well. So those are key destinations. And then we've got new tours, as I say, to Israel, for example, Eurasia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia. They're kind of closer to home. So for a lot of our customers who've done a number of Wendy Wu Tours to Asia, we're bringing out something which is a different, sort of slightly closer to home. Equally, we saw a bit of a spike in Latin America. That's kind of died down a little bit. I think people are waiting to see how that pans out. So Latin America as well. But I would say those Japan, sort of Vietnam. And then what we're seeing beyond that is where customers are traveling on their own without having to refer to partners to make a decision as to whether to travel or not. We're seeing a good number of solo travelers come forward. And for that reason, we put a very strong offer out in the marketplace this month in July. We've seen some good uptake, whereby not only you don't pay a supplement on the majority of our tours, but you're also eligible to take advantage of the business class upgrade if you're traveling to China and Japan, as long as you book it both ways. But it's a very reasonable price as well. Plus, we'll transfer you to the airport, plus we'll give you a free lounge as well. So, these are very strong offers in the marketplace. And where we need some help is for agents to get hold of these offers. We've brought back the trade support team. And if anyone, and this week, for example, alone, we've sent 90 packs out for agents to use in their windows. So, so we're kind of running a little bit of a competition whereby agents can pick up these beautiful, colorful collateral with the offers, put them in the window, post it on our Wendy Wu Agent Facebook page, and then you've got a chance, to win a trip with us when things get back to normal. So yeah, and so if you don't know about that, then do reach out to us, and we will send you the collateral that you need. But there, if you do something about it, you might catch something. If you don't, you're not likely to. Yeah.
Okay. And so you mentioned solo travellers there. Were they always quite a popular market for you, or have you seen an increase since COVID then in inquiries from solo travellers, would you say? And have you noticed any other sort of trends in terms of what people are asking for when they are inquiring for 2021, in terms of sort of travel style perhaps, or the accommodation they're seeking? Any sort of differences there?
Yeah, solos have always been part of our strategy anyway, and they're part of our business, our solo customers. And the reason for that is because they are so well looked after on a Wendy Wu tour anyway, so there's peace of mind there for sure. But I would certainly say, as a mix of customers booking, we have certainly seen a higher mix of solo customers booking as opposed to sort of groups of 2, 3s and 4s. So certainly as a mix, it has increased without a question of a doubt, and the offer and the marketing campaign has driven some of that activity as well. What we have done is we've also, where we've had some success, Abra, is where there are agents who have some very good, strong databases of solo customers, we have linked up with them and they've sent the offers out specifically to their solos database, and we've had success from that as well. So it is about being proactive on that front. In terms of duration, I think, most of our tours, because you're traveling to Asia, tend to be 10 to 14 days anyway, and we're seeing more of the sort of longer duration. And I think people will travel, they've made that decision to travel. You're going through that experience of going through the airport and everything else and traveling. Whilst now that you're there, you might as well be there for a longer period of time. So I think there is that kind of, it's too early to say that's a trend, but that seems to be the case for now because of the numbers. I wouldn't necessarily put it down as a trend, but people are going for longer to our destinations for sure. I think, as I say, the numbers, they're encouraging and they're growing without a question of a doubt. And I think, we will learn more about how sort of consumers behave as we go through July, as we go through August, where we'll see our brochure launches, and September, as I say, October, traditionally 2 of our biggest months after January. And I think we'll learn a lot in September as to how customers will behave. And, if September doesn't materialize, it doesn't mean, 2021 is going to be awful, because we can't dictate what the market will do. But it potentially could mean that November might be a much bigger month, than it has been in the past, and the same with December. So we built in flexibility in a model that we can do and respond to the market in whichever way we can, whether that's bringing in more res team, for example, more of the reservations team, whether that's bringing more BDMs back, whether that's bringing more of our staff in London back into the office as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, brilliant. John, you mentioned earlier the webinars that you were that have been going on since the crisis, and how many. So they were sort of daily, weren't they? Sometimes a few a day. So that was a great way that you kind of engaged with the trade during the crisis. What sort of success would you say they had generally? And do you think agents were quite keen to boost their knowledge when perhaps the sales weren't coming in, and it was a good time for that kind of knowledge boosting?
Yeah, I think as the home workers as a group of people, I think were more engaged. There are some new home workers that have come into the fore now, and some that have moved from working sort of traditionally in a store, move on to home working. So people had time on their hands, and despite the good weather that we had a relatively good turnout. Now, there are some instances where we might have only had 10 to 15 agents on a webinar, and that's fine as well. It doesn't matter. And, equally we're the same with the consumer events. Sometimes we had 5, but it didn't really matter at all. We had a very kind of funny incident where we did a direct consumer event, and our customers traditionally are sort of 55 over, average is 60, 65. And there was a lovely couple that joined our webinar direct from their bedroom, not realizing that the camera was on kind of thing. But so we had to send them a little private message and say, you might want to turn your camera off kind of thing. But it's wonderful. I mean, on that particular one, we had 55 customers that joined. So yeah, various degree of success. And the thing is not to be disheartened. You know, if you only have 5, 10 people, it doesn't matter, because all you need is one booking, if you like, you know, to make that all worthwhile. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because ultimately you've stayed front of mind in some way or another. You know, you've kept the name of Wendy Wu Tours, and Abra, that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to stay front of mind, keep our profile. And, you know, again, I would say, I think we're certainly amongst the first to have BDMs out on the road. I think we're certainly among the first to be proactive with the webinars. And what happened, it became a bit tricky then, because everybody else sort of not followed suit necessarily. I don't want to sound arrogant in any shape or form, but there were a lot more webinars that started to happen in sort of April, May onwards. So then we were competing. But you know, and it's about finding the right time to do them as well. So we had success with doing them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The biggest following we had was at 9 o'clock in the evening. So, you know, we're very flexible. And I think it served as a great opportunity to brush up on the knowledge. You know, I did a number of webinars myself, and it was a good time to think about how we present, because the BDMs present anyway to you know, to agents, but actually we kind of talked more about the history of the country and, you know, and what there is to see, because our customers it's a cultural experience for them. So they do want to know about the history in terms of to understand the country a lot better before they go. So we kind of changed our webinars a little bit, and I think everybody enjoyed the learning, the process as well. So it was good, and very good feedback from those that joined as well.
Great. And so looking ahead slightly, what are your plans for sort of working with the trade and delivering long-term growth now for Wendy Wu?
Yeah, I think for a business our size, I think people always say we kind of, you know, you have a huge profile, and you know, do we punch above our weight? I think for the size of business we have a big profile, and you know, Wendy drives that herself. You know, she's an immense ambassador. She's at various awards and stuff, and stands up, and sort of people recognize her. So the trade is very important to us, and the trade is very important to her, because our business in the UK, Wendy started her business in Australia and then came to the UK probably 13, 14 years ago. And the trade was very supportive. So Wendy will always remember that. So, you know, you will never see us undercut an agent trade in terms of promise, either on the website or directly with a customer. So if you use that as a starting point, then to answer your question, we will do whatever it takes to drive and support our trade partners, whatever it takes. Whether, you know, that's kind of taking a risk and bringing BDMs out early, whether it's putting our head out there above the parapet. But we are there for anybody that wants to engage with us. And at this moment in time, I would say take advantage, because as the months progress, we will get more and more people wanting us to be part of the story going forward. And as I say, we've had some good success stories, some good engagements, but now's the chance really to reach out via myself or, you know, via your traditional kind of BDM, and we'll come and support you. When we launch our brochures in September, October, we will of course have a campaign. And the secret of a success of a campaign is making sure that's really well communicated. And you know, I want to be in a place where I pick up a travel agent phone directory, if you like, shut my eyes and put my finger on a number, pick up the phone, and then whoever I speak to knows about our campaign. Now that's a challenge in itself, but that's kind of what drives us as a team of people. We believe in our product. We believe that we bring value to agents' customers. If you book with us, you're likely to book with us again. So you're not only going to get one booking, you're going to get another and a second and a third. Plus, you know, we pay good commissions on the full value of the booking, which on average is about £1,000 based on 2 people. So that's important revenue, especially at this time. So if you're going to go hunting for good revenue, you know, Wendy Wu Tours is definitely a good place to start, for sure.
Fantastic. And so borders are reopening now, you know, lockdowns easing in various countries around the world. What do you think the travel landscape is going to look like when post-pandemic? And how is Wendy Wu going to adapt to those changes?
Yeah, I think with our context, we generally tend to be the first to know as when borders are opening or reclosing or whatever. So we've, trust that we have that information, and we are very close. Not just China, but in Vietnam as well, and Japan, we're very well connected. So if you want any information, any live information, our website, wendywoodtours.co.uk, will give you that instant live information. So that's important. I think the next, in terms of, if you say to me, am I going to be able to go to China in August? Possibly, absolutely not. So I think the borders for now will still be closed, but they will certainly start to reopen, next year. And you know what? We've opened our call center now on a Saturday as well. Last Saturday, we took a booking to Latin America. It was for 2020. It was an agent booking, so very encouraged by that as well. But 2021 is mostly what we're booking. So I wouldn't worry about 2021. If you get an inquiry for 2021, then certainly it's quite interesting, because you talked about trends earlier on. And initially we were seeing January, February, March as being very popular times to book. And I think people were saying, I want to get away at the earliest opportunity that I've got, not for this year, but for next year. But I think now what we're seeing is people sort of, booking for middle to later part of 2021. And I think that's also a safer bet, if you like, as well. But, there are so many unknown Abras, aren't they? No one knows how things are going to change overnight, and whether if they open, they might close again. I think it's just something, I think building flexibility is going to be very important. And, we've got a flexible campaign for customers that they can cancel within a certain number of days before they travel. And I think it's important that tour operators do that and give their customers that flexibility as well, because people are looking for peace of mind. They've been caught up once and they don't want to get caught out again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're almost coming to the end of our time. I just wanted to ask you if there's anything Wendy Wu Tours or you as a sales director have kind of learned from this journey, and also what your hopes are for the future of the industry.
There's a lot of learnings, lots and lots of learnings. I think, perseverance. The industry is very resilient, although this is probably like we've never seen before, of course. And I think those that adapt and those that are flexible and those that are brave will, put themselves in a sort of a better chance of survival, if you like. Initially when kind of we heard about kind of COVID-19, we didn't know the severity of it. There was some thinking that things might bounce back very quickly, and of course that hasn't been the case. Quite the opposite. So I think putting yourself in a position where you can ride the storm, and we are in that position, which is we're very very thankful to Wendy and her business acumen to be able to ride the storm and then come out stronger. And I think we're starting to build on that. So the team you surround yourself with are very important. There have been moments, and there will be moments that some of our team, including ourselves, go through a bit of a dark period kind of thing. But so being there or having someone to talk to you or to talk to them about it makes a massive difference, because at some point we will all have doubts, and this is a fun industry. We all like to be busy, and not being busy could have some impact on one's self-esteem, for example. But, talk to someone, I would say, absolutely. Be there for your teams, support each other, and just be strong for each other, because, the better times will come for sure. And but there's nothing more important really than supporting each other in this crisis, for sure.
Okay, well, what a lovely note to end on there. Thank you, John. It's been fantastic to talk to you today and to hear from you and how Wendy Wu Tours is doing. So yeah, thanks for your time, and thanks to everyone who's tuned in today. And we'll see you all soon for another face-to-face interview. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Abra. Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you all. Bye.